Hi, I'm Keith, and this is my channel Attack from Down Under. Today I'm going to show you some records I picked up at a local record fair a couple of weeks back. I went to two of them, so I'll show you that. I'll show you about 7 records I think I've got to show today. So my next video, I'll show you all the heavy metal records I got from there. But this video, I'll just show you the odds and sods ones that I picked up. So straight into it. First one I got is this one here, Raw Power. This came out in 1973, released as Iggy and the Stooges. So the first 2 albums, when they came out, they were just the Stooges. But there he is, Iggy's name front and centre. This is a New Zealand version of the record. I think it's a second pressing. So just something I never see. I never see this record at all. And to get a New Zealand version of it was pretty cool. I think this is a 1979 copy of the record. So this is early punk. Didn't get a lot of love when it came out, but it's well thought of now. And I see this in a lot of record collecting videos. So just couldn't believe it when I saw this and had to pick it up. So it's proto-punk, garage rock. And the band got a bit of a music injection when a new guitarist came in, James Williamson, and he co-wrote the album's 8 songs with Iggy Pop. And they had been dropped by the label, and at least one member of the band was pretty much just lucky to be alive. And the band regrouped in England and recorded this album. Our man David Bowie came to the rescue, found Iggy Pop a management deal, a recording contract in London. And then the band, at the end of the recording, handed all the master tapes to David Bowie and basically said, "Can you make an album out of that? It's a bit messy, but a bit raw, like it says, raw." And they did. They did. So some people like that early David Bowie mix. They've redone it a few times with different other people. But this is a classic one. This is a David Bowie one, I think. It's a really good condition, this record. I got this off one seller. So that was from the record fair. It was just about an hour out of town. And right, so second one, I got lucky to get this one as well. This is Jane's Addiction, Ritual de lo Habitual. So this is the second album by the American rock band Jane's Addiction, came out in 1990. It was a bit of a breakthrough album for them. It got a lot of, their videos for that got a lot of airplay and just took them into a different trajectory. But then they broke up. This is actually a German pressing of the record. And there's 2 versions of this cover. This one here with the cover artwork by Perry Farrell, and it relates to one of the songs on the album called 3 Days, which so it just talks about relationship over 3 days, I think, a bit like this relationship here. And so this, like I said, there's 2 versions of this cover. This was one with the sort of stylized male and female nudity. A lot of people didn't like this. A lot of shops didn't show it. So they decided to put out a different version cover. And the second version is like a clean cover. And it was just created so that all the CDs from this band could be distributed in stores that, and you know, I suppose in the South and places like that, where didn't like the nudity and conservative sort of family stores type thing. And it's the second cover is like a clean cover, and it features just black text on a white background and just listing the album and the band name. So the singles from this were Been Caught Stealing and Stop. And there are songs on this album dedicated to Perry Farrell's deceased girlfriend, Xola Blue. And she died of a heroin overdose in 1987 at the really young age of 19. So there's a thing in here, and the insert that says, "For our beloved Xola Blue." Yeah. And the song on here, Then She Did, also talks about Farrell's mother's suicide when he was only 4, which is pretty sad. So this one was like one I was happy to pick up to put in my 90s collection. And I'm enjoying listening to this. And the Iggy Pop one, I don't listen to a lot of early punk, so it's a bit different, but it's good. Great cover too on that Iggy Pop one, great cover on this one. There you go. German one. So I went to 2 record fairs. Probably the second one was the most successful, and I did pick up this one here as well. This was on the I think this is the first one I went to, and this is very well known in my country, New Zealand. The Split Enz True Colours, released in 1980. So it's post sort of punk new wave type album, 5th album by the New Zealand band Split Enz, and one that was probably their biggest commercial success. This is actually an American version of it, and it's a promo copy. And if you read the hype sticker there, it's got something else, and this is why I picked it up. Like, the cover's pretty banged to shit. There's a bit of wear on it, but I picked it up because the early albums that came out of this album, the early pressings that came out of this album on the A&M label, they have something that's just a bit different. A very early example of laser etching. So when I saw it, I decided to get it because I heard about this laser etching, but I'd never actually seen it. And then I held it up to the light and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So I'll show you what it looks like. I don't know how it'll sort of transfer in the light there. So there are shapes and patterns etched into this album, and when the light hits it right on your turntable, these designs sort of make colours that sort of spin around the room. It's really well done. Yeah, I'm not sure how that will transfer. I'll have to look. There you go. So the sort of a benefit in this as well, it's very hard to sort of counterfeit this album, you know, make knockoffs of it. Yeah. And they've also remastered this album for its 40th anniversary. And this cover here comes in all sorts of different variations of this pattern. And you can get coloured vinyl and all the different variations of that pattern there for its 40th anniversary. I'm thinking about getting one of the new ones, get a nice copy. So this band was big in New Zealand, and they toured America. They made a bit of headway in America. So one of the artists on here is Neil Finn, and Tim Finn, his brother's on here as well. And Neil Finn is very well known in that he was in the band Crowded House, and he's also in the lineup for Fleetwood Mac at the moment. So he's had a long musical career. That's that one there. So that one I picked up as well. Bit of a roughie, but sounds really good. Gave it a clean, and it not a bad sounding record at all, that one. Yeah, the song on it, I Got You, that was one of the big songs on it. So moving on, I had sort of had a birthday around about the same time as well, so I've got a few records to show from that, but I'll show them in probably my next video. But this is one of the ones I got, and this is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and this album is called Petrodragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night, an annihilation of planet Earth and the beginning of merciless damnation. I was going to say domination, but it's damnation. So this is their 24th album. It's just another one. They're just known for their just banging records and constant sort of psychedelic rock. And this is their 24th album, and it came out since 2010. So that's a lot of albums since 2010. And they did 5 albums in 2022. So this has got an embossed sort of cover with this Gila monster, this monster here. Really cool cover. So this was composed relatively quick. They like to do a song a day, just working through jams and then coming out with the songs sort of naturally that way. They wanted to put out a heavy metal album, thrashy heavy metal type album. So you can see there they've got the spider web type logo there for the band, trying to like evoke that sort of imagery for a lot of those death doom bands. They're successful to a degree with the heaviness. There's a lot of the usual sort of jam session-y type psychedelic-y stuff in here, but it's a good listen. I've been listening to this quite a bit. So it's kind of a concept album about humankind using witchcraft to save the earth from a fiery end, going up in flames. And instead things go a bit pear-shaped, and a witch is transformed into a rampaging, human-eating dragon monster. So this is the monster, the Gila monster. It's one of the songs there, track 5. There it is there. So one of the sides is just taken up with telling that story of the Gila monster, and it's a 14-minute bonus track, and it's got Leah Senior talking about spoken word. This is only on the vinyl, so it's over a little bit of a minimal soundtrack, just doing that story. So this is a band that's been led by Stu McKenzie, Australian band. Good one to get into if you want something a bit different. So there you go. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I'm not going to say that again. Nice one there. And these last two, like when you go to record fairs, I just like, if I see things that'll just fill out my collection a bit, or just things that in a vein that I'm trying to collect a whole series of or something like that, I'll pick them up. So I'm just trying to pick up a lot of the 80s stuff, because it's getting quite harder to find you know, like it's getting really old, this stuff now. You know, like 70s stuff is pretty beat up, but 80s stuff is getting there as well. So I had to pick up this when I saw it, Peter Gabriel. So this was very cheap. This was quite a big album for him in the 80s. And I like the song Don't Give Up, the duet he did with Kate Bush. I've been listening to Willie Nelson and Sinead O'Connor's version of that song. They do a duet. It's really good. So I've been jamming that quite a bit as well. And another one on here I like is Mercy Street. And of course, another one on here was a big single was In Your Eyes. And Sledgehammer I don't like so much, but you know, it's quite a popular 80s album. And while I was there, that cellar that I got, the Raw Power, Iggy Pop, and Ritual De Habitual, he had a cheap bin down the bottom under his stall, and I think he was just wanting like $10 for things. So I saw this there. I've been meaning to get this because I've got a lot of 80s soundtracks, and this was one that I wanted to pick up. Classic 80s soundtrack, and just add it to the ones I've got. So I showed him this one and had my $10 in my hand. He said, "No, you can have that for nothing." You know, so he's not very impressed with this. He didn't want to keep it, so he gave that for me for nothing, which I thought was good of him. Thank you, Andy. Okay, so that's my video for today. Just keeping you up to date with a few things I got at that record fair. I'm not sure when I was going to show you, have an opportunity to show you that, because I'm working on a few competition videos and other ones. So thank you for subscribing and commenting, and I hope there's something in there that you liked. If there was, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.